We welcome everyone to the art and science of launching successful products on Amazon, where we provide insight into how sellers can launch new products using data insights from Amazon customers and how they innovate new features to stay ahead of the pack. I am Natalie, Marketing Manager of Amazon Global Selling, and I will be your host for this session. So please welcome Helium 10's Chief Evangelist, Bradley Sutton, and successful Amazon sellers Stev Tam, Cyril Chia, and Jeremy Teo. Yeah.
Only one person was excited.
Thank you for the cheer. Yeah, so we know from sellers like you that creating and managing a successful catalog is challenging. So this is why we are always launching new tools and reports to aid your product research process. So my first question for Cyril, with your experience in growing your own brand on Amazon from scratch since 2018, what are some common data points and tools that you look at to determine if a product has potential on Amazon?
Hello, yes. So I think like the earlier session today has already mentioned a lot of points on like trying to find products using data points rather than having a passion, because I agree that sometimes the products that you have passion on isn't really providing an opportunity for you to sell. So that's why, like for me, for my journey is I find products using the more scientific method, like looking at demand and supply. And when it comes to demand, we are talking something like search volume. And then supply could be something like how many competitors are selling this exact same product that you are looking at.
Yeah, I think it's super unique. I think for you, you're actually selling a product category like arts and crafts.
Yes.
Yeah, but is it actually your hobby? Do you also do?
So I'm selling in the art and craft category, but actually it's not very good at art and craft at all. Yeah. So like I'm totally selling a product that I don't know how to use. And it's just like I managed to find these products using like tools like Amazon tools and Helium 10 tools, mainly looking at like search volume, competitors, the pricing, how many units are being sold a month, etc.
Yeah, I think like what some of the previous sessions shared, so even if it's not even a passion of yours or a hobby, it might be a potential product if you do research and realize that there is a gap on Amazon.com for you to sell in that product category. So the next question for Bradley, as the Helium 10 expert, what are some of the most commonly used data points, and what, in your opinion, are the most under-leveraged data points that sellers can look at?
Yeah, like he mentioned, search volume is very common. Whether you're using Product Opportunity Explorer or Helium 10, search volume is important. But sometimes even more important than that is looking at the keyword sales or estimated keyword sales. You could have one keyword that has 100,000 searches, like kitchen, but maybe it only has 500 purchases because people don't type kitchen and then they buy something. They're just using it to browse. But then you could have something specific like plastic kitchen spatula. Maybe it only has 10,000 searches, but 3,000 people actually buy it. So if you look at the search volume, you would have thought that kitchen is the better keyword. But no, look at the keyword sales. The one that I think almost nobody looks at is a feature in Helium 10 we have called title density. So title density means how many listings on page 1 of the search results of a keyword have that exact keyword in the title. And if you can find a highly searched keyword that only has title density of 1 or 2, and you have that keyword in your title, you almost don't have to do anything. From the day one, you're going to be on page 1 without even doing anything. That's the way the Amazon algorithm works. And then if it's the opposite, like if the title density is like 30 or 40, meaning almost all the listings on page 1 have that keyword in the title, it's not impossible to launch, but you're going to have to spend a lot of money with PPC and a lot of marketing off Amazon to get to page 1. So look at title density to find hidden gem keywords.
Yeah. So I think the main takeaway from that is keywords. All of you know keywords are really important. And also next would be like title density that Bradley mentioned. So my next question for Steph, how do you shortlist the top product ideas? So between passion, profit, growth potential, competition, and customer feedback on prototypes. There's just so many different data points to look at. So what would you prioritize if you could only choose 2?
That's a tough question. As much as I want for profit and passion, I have to go with customer feedback as well as the market potentials. For market potentials, I would say I'll give you an example. So for last 2 years, there have been this COVID lockdown, and there's a lot of travel restrictions. But at the beginning of this year, 2022, we start seeing countries and borders being more relaxed. And at that point, we anticipate there will be more and more demand in traveling as well as travel accessories, which is traveling bags for our own Amazon shops. So we've been stacking the stocks, doing research, and for the past few months, we see like sales on this category jumps like 20 to 30 times as before. So that's a market potential for you. And on the other hand, customer feedback, customer response, that's also very important to us because at Petit Simon, this our fast fashion is our cornerstone, okay? But we don't do fast fashion blindly. We always have our market indicator and customer feedbacks, customer research, all these are the key indicator for that.
Yeah. So I think to sum up what Stev have mentioned, so you really need to guess. You need to really search and predict in advance. So you know that for travelers bag, and then you need to increase your product line extension, not just for fast fashion bag, but also for travel bags, and then looking at customer feedback. So these are different important data points to look at. So another thing that you mentioned, customer feedback, customer reviews. So customer reviews can also be a huge source of product inspiration for product innovation. So Stev, how has your brand used customer reviews to develop your products?
Okay, here's another example. Sophie is one of our bags that was sold pretty well in the US market. We got the Sophie idea strictly out from our Southeast Asia market, where we're selling it already. It's one of our top seller in Thailand and Malaysia. So we tried this out in US as well, and it worked. But after like a few weeks, we started receiving a lot of customer reviews about like the bags being too small, which is quite obvious in this case because most of our customers in US had a bigger build. So and they're looking for more compartments in the bags, like so that's where our design team and our product team comes back to the drawing board and then start redesigning our product Sophie to make a US version for that, and that took us around like 3 days for the prototype, 7 days for the mass production, and add another 30 days for making it available in Amazon US.
Yeah, it's super interesting. So they really do look at the customer reviews, and sometimes what you're familiar with the Singapore customers is very different in the US. So maybe like what Stev mentioned, US customers like more compartments, a slightly bigger bag, and of course there are different trends that come and go. Maybe it's a mini bag this time for this trend, but maybe people want a bigger size of the same design mix. So it's always responding to your customer feedback. So next question for Jeremy. What inspired your hotel series collection? Because I know it's your most well-loved and your first series collection. You also shared about that in the panel discussion. How did your team go about deciding which scents to launch? Maybe you give a bit of background about Pristine first, and then you can share with us, how you decide which scents to launch.
Okay. Pristine was actually started, I think, in 2019. They started with in Singapore, catered in Singapore during the COVID moments. It was a lockdown, right? So most of the people actually work from home. That was how it actually blew up. But if you ask me what inspired our series, the collection is actually when I think the founders actually went into to hotel in a staycation, and they actually found out that there's certain scents that keeps them relaxed. So that was how the initial idea was churned out, and we actually did the collection from there. And one of them is actually very similar to Iron Orchard. I think a lot of you went to Iron Orchard before. So it's through trial and error. We launched some signature scents as well, and that was how the fragrance that's closest to Iron Orchard. Closest, I'm saying that we do not develop scents for Iron Orchard. I didn't make this claim, but it's quite similar. But it was a different name we use for our products. It's just coincidentally that the smell is very, very similar. So that was launched. That is also the most hot selling item that we have in both the Asia and US market.
Yeah, I think it's really cool, you know, like maybe during COVID, you really miss traveling, you miss, the scent of a hotel room, staycation, you want to bring back that experience to your own home. So I think that's really amazing. And I do love Pristine's products as well. Yeah, I think the founders are in this room as well. Yeah. So now let's discuss a little bit about designing for US customers. So in your category of selling, Stev, how important is it for you to design for US customers first? And are there differences between the US and Southeast Asian customers? I know you shared a bit about that just now.
I would say it's critical. It's mandatory for designing for U.S. market. And again, I want to emphasize that we do fast fashion. So basically, we will tailor or customize most of our popular products according to different market needs. So for the difference between the U.S. and the Southeast Asian market, for our bags category, I would say is more on the weather, on the seasons. So we start off with Dick Simone here in Southeast Asia first, and there's not much big difference in terms of seasons. Dry season, rainy season, but it's always hot, so people used to wear more like in brighter colors. Okay. But on the other hand, in US, the seasons there are bigger difference in the way people dress. So we see that during summertime, definitely our customer prefer some brighter colors. Shocking pink, red, and all these. But when the winter comes, we start seeing higher sales in darker colors. Like maybe. Brown, black. So that's something that we have to adjust accordingly, depending on the markets.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting because like in Singapore, we are really used to just one season and it's summer all year round. But for like the US customers, there's like fall fashion, winter fashion, summer fashion. So especially for fast fashion, people change according to they want to dress to suit the occasion and the weather. So that's really interesting. Same for scented candles and aromatic products, which is really very highly experiential product. How do you actually convince US customers to purchase your products? Because you can't even smell the candles on an online store. So how do you create that experience online?
One of the key, it's actually we test also on the image. I think we have very good cover image. And that's one of the ways that we actually test. We have the ingredients as well. But one thing that we see in US is a little bit different is we get a feedback as well from customers that they are looking for something that is actually more pungent, more the smell is actually stronger. So we use Helium 10 to actually search for certain tools as well, certain keywords as well. And woody was one of the key top item that is that we incorporate into our products for this year as well. And we see it coming as a top seller as well. But in Singapore and Malaysia context, woody won't work because it's already very humid here, right? So a lot of them wouldn't like the woody, but they go for fruity or floral. Yes, but that doesn't work well on US. So US we have to use like woody, like pine, tobacco, this kind of smoky and leathery scents. So that was how we turn it around.
Wow, that's really interesting because just a lot of things that I wouldn't have thought of. So I think a very good advice that Jeremy mentioned is that actually looking into your keyword research tools can help you, discover other products that you can produce for your product line extension, or even like different products to focus on for the US versus Singapore. So, it even helps you with even like inventory management. You know that you shouldn't send the same quantity for each product type. Maybe, woody in the US, you allocate more inventory. And then for like Singapore, if you're selling domestically, more of the fruity kind of sense. So I think that's really interesting. Lastly, we're also going to discuss new data points and updates to Helium 10 and Product Opportunity Explorer. So Product Opportunity Explorer, as our first speaker shared, was developed to help you with the challenge of creating a successful catalog for launching new products. So Bradley, have you tried this tool? And how can Amazon sellers use Helium 10 tools for competitor tracking in addition to the Product Opportunity Explorer tool?
Yeah, I talked earlier about how I really like the Product Opportunity Explorer, looking at the search conversion. The other thing I like using for the Product Opportunity Explorer is by looking how many products Amazon says are in a niche. So a lot of people just overlook the number of products, but if you look at the details of what Amazon says, it says these are the number of products that make up 80% of the clicks for these keywords in the niche. So for example, if you see a niche that has like 150 products, that means it's kind of spread out. Like a lot of different products are all competing in this niche. But sometimes you'll find a niche in Product Opportunity Explorer that only has like 6 or 7 products. That means it's all dominated. Those 6 or 7 products make up 80% of the clicks. So, there's not one way to use that information, but it's very insightful to kind of know what you're dealing with for the competition. As far as your question about, how people can use both, is, the Product Opportunity Explorer is great for looking at what's happening for the last 360 days. That's what it's showing. Find something there and then start tracking it in near real time. So like I would take some keywords or some products and track it in like a keyword tracker or Cerebro that is checking every day, what's going on. And then so that's a great way that, you have the best of both worlds. You have the best that looks over a full year's worth of movement. And then now you take it into Helium 10 and then now check it on a more granular level. What is happening every day or every hour, for that niche?
Yeah, I think like what Bradley mentioned, just different tools that you can compare data insights. Don't just use one, you use multiple, compare your data, question the data, and go deep into the different insights that you find on all of these different tools. So this last question is for everyone in the panel. So what are some of your favorite tools and data points for keyword and product competitor research? Maybe Cyril can go first.
Okay, so for me, mainly I will use Helium 10, the Magnet Cerebro. And for Amazon tools, I will be using something like the Opportunity Explorer, thank you. And the Brand Analytics as well. But then I think there's a tool that's not mentioned because that is actually Google. Because I think like a lot of buyers actually search the items they want on Google first before even entering Amazon.com. So sometimes I use Google Trends to like find out more keywords.
Yes, yeah, that's actually a free and easy tool to use.
Yeah, my answer will be very similar with Cyril. So yes, Amazon, the Product Opportunity Explorer, as well as the Google Trend. The key, how should I say, the key data points, yes, that we look at are definitely the keyword search volume, as well as the average sales for each of these items.
So very similar. We use Helium 10, Cerebro, Magnet, as well as keyword tracker. After when we launch ready, we need to track whether the keyword are we ranking on it. So keyword tracker is one of our favorite tools. But of course, to gather everything, we use external software on top of Helium 10 as well, which is Data Dive, which pull data from Amazon Brand Analytics, Keepa, Google Trend, as well as Helium 10 Cerebro, consolidate everything together so that we can have updated from everywhere. So that was how we create our MKL, which is the master keyword list. Yeah.
Okay, I hear a lot of things about keywords, master keyword lists, Google Trends, a lot of this, and even external tools, Product Opportunity Explorer, Helium 10, Cerebral tools. Yep. So I know many of you might have questions for us. Since we have some time for Q&A, maybe we can have the runners. We have 2 runners with 2 microphones. So any questions for our panel? Any questions at all? Please just raise your hand if you have a question and we can take it. You know, the mic will be in front of you. Yeah, we have one question here on the left.
Thank you. This question I think is for Stev mainly. Earlier you mentioned like you had one bag and it was a bit too small. You redeveloped it for the US market. So I think we have a similar situation where we have a product, we got customer reviews and then we improved the product, but we already got some like mixed ratings from that. So how do you get past that?
Okay. So it really depends. You say that when you say mixed review, I assume that it's more comments than a bad review, because it really depends, you know. So if it's I would say if it's more subjective comments, I would say that what you need to do is optimize the listing itself. That's what we did, you know. So we do have a lot of comments about the size of our bags. We did instead of like creating some new listing, which some people might do, we try to
Product
update
variation.
our product listing descriptions, pictures to more resolve or focus on these kind of comments. And there's also parts where there's where the user can put on a Q&A, right? That's where that's where our customer service will be more responsive on that part as well. And one final point is that we did a lot of more Amazon Live on these products on our bag Sophie, you know, because with Amazon Live we are able to reach out to more like existing customer as well, those buyers. So our live streamer are able to give them a live comparison as well as interaction and comments regarding the difference between the old Sophie and the new Sophie. I hope that answers your questions. Yeah.
I think we have time for just one last question. Anyone has a burning question for our panel? If no last questions, then that's it for our session, The Art and Science of Launching Successful Products on Amazon. So you can visit our What to Sell on Amazon.com page, or Seller University for category guides on the trending items on Amazon.com. So if you're not already part of our Singapore Global Selling online seller community, you can scan the QR code to continue the conversation with our seller ambassadors. So we hope to see you in the next meetups, and we will now close off this panel discussion. Thank you so much for your attention.